Welcome to Atlanta Tarot. This is the tarot forecast for Taurus, March 2021. Let's give a quick shuffle, Taurus, and see what's in store for you. In March, so we're in the element of water. So emotions, lots of emotions, water is your element. So intuitive, and it's also the 12th house, Pisces, so lots of interesting things can happen in this time. Lots of kind of phenomena, really, I suppose you'd say. For Taurus, that'll be interesting because your earth and water can flood earth, but it also feeds earth, doesn't it? So let's have a look for you guys this time. Here's the energy around. So the magician is the messenger of the spiritual world, so that's quite interesting. And he comes in to tell you have all the tools required for whatever it is you're planning to do. He also represents the planet Mercury, and Mercury is that planet of communication, so things can really sort of get off the ground at this time, and with him there. On the other side, the duality of him is trickery. But that goes hand in hand with anything new. There's always a risk, isn't there? You could be lured into something. So you have to really use your intuition to think, does this feel right or does it not? That kind of vibe, really. So where you are right now, Page of Swords. So things a bit up in the air, Taurus, which for you is really not a good feeling, but it's almost like you're tossing something up. There's ideas flying around everywhere, but you're not quite sure where they're going to land as yet. It's also the card of the little spy. So, you know, certain people watching you on social media, things like that, you're finding very keen interest in what you're up to. Because Tauruses are notorious for, you know, just getting on and getting things done, and they see things through. They're very sort of earthed, whereas this little imp here can be a bit of a troublemaker in a way, because he can kind of keep everything sort of just in your head, lots of ideas running around, but they never come to something. So let's see what has brought him into your world for March, or for the time of Pisces, I prefer. And that is crossed by the Hanged Man. So waiting. So the Hanged Man's a card of just waiting. It's a card of sacrifice. It means don't move now, just go with the flow. It's not the time to jump, even though you've got all the tools here and you've got all the ideas here and they marry up. But then this big card, it's a big card, a major card. So it's just saying, you keep those things in store, but it's just not the right time at the moment. And this is almost like a practicing patience, very much a period of being patient. And so this card affects all of the other cards on the deck, so on the reading. So just remember that as we go through, it's just a time of learning that patience and waiting for the right time. Going with the flow. The background, so we're coming into January, February now, what's been going on preceding this all, that still has influence at the moment, but this influence is in fact going out, and we have the Three of Coins, which is working really well together. It's also spiritual learning, so that tags in really well with the Hanged Man, because the Hanged Man does teach us patience. And at the end of the day, when we finally get where we want to be, we realise how valuable it is to be patient. So this is sort of that Three of Pentacles, a Taurus icon, your element. So it's just about working well with others and learning to wait, but foundations are very strong. Threes are about expansion and growth, so that's it. It sort of augurs well for you, but just this one's the heavy card. This is weak, if you know what I mean. Not weak, but it doesn't have as much impact as the big cards. Righty-ho, let's see. Recent influences for Taurus. And we have another big card, the Justice, karmic card. So whatever's going on is meant to, it's the sum total of what you've been working on. So you've been putting energy in. Yeah, it's good. You haven't, well, you should be. But overall, this sort of matches up really well with this Hanging Man, because it's saying, well, you just be patient now and wait. Everything's ready. Everything is exactly where it's meant to be. The balance is there. Also legal, business, all sorts of balancing. Excuse me, balance. Just a balancing element, really. As I said, the sum total of what is and what has been to bring you to this point. So it's very important, that karmic card. And very strong as well. Putting in, getting out, not putting in, not getting anything. Let us have a look at the lesson you'll be learning in Pisces, March, February, March. 5 of Cups. 5s represent change. Cups is emotion, so there may be a disappointment, or something of a disappointment may revisit you again, but don't forget there is still opportunity to sort of deal with this card, in terms of it could be a moment in time gone by where something, usually with an emotional relationship, where something broke down, communication broke down, your heart got broken, something along those lines, and then you can sort of remember that feeling, but it kind of still has a lot of impact on to what's going on today. And also this one I always read as someone returning from the past, or a situation from the past which returns to within your feelings, that reminds you of that awful time, but now it's time to sort of confront it and move forward, because it's changed with number 5. So look out for that kind of thing too. People coming back, or even people just that you think of, and think of that awful situation or that sad situation, and then it sort of comes back, so you remember it and digest it, and you kind of karmically just go, yeah, well, I'm going to move on from that, actually. So whatever that means to you, Taurus. Let's see what's going to be happening around the first week of March. And we have the King of Cups. So the cups are coming in. The cups all represent water and emotion. So here's a youngish male energy. Idealistic sort of energy as well. Very romantic, very idealistic. But he's bringing an offer through. So maybe this is why they're asking you just to be patient and wait, because it could sound really good, but there's something about it, and knowing Taurus, you'll be just like, oh yeah, I like that, but I'm not 100% sure on this. It sounds a bit too, it's too idealistic, and Taurus they like grounded matters. They don't like sort of wishy-washy. So watch for that kind of energy coming through. This also indicates a real person, so it could be one of your family members, one of your children's beaux, or somebody like that, a younger person. For the younger people, it could be, a new romantic sort of interest. But just enjoy it, but don't over romanticize this, because a lot of it is just romance. It's not been thought through. And as I said, Taurus will sniff that out pretty quickly. Let's see what's happening that you're not realising. And we have Scorpio death, so big change. Change is happening on a slow sort of moving wheel, almost like you're slowly changing and adapting to new ways of doing things, which we all are actually. And this is your opposite sign of Scorpio, so Taurus, so it's all about, and a lot of you probably have a few Scorpio elements in your chart, so it's very much about deep diving in a way too, with a lot of emotions and a lot of emotional stuff, I guess, with this one being another water. So this Scorpio is also a water sign, which is interesting in Pisces. So there's a lot of sort of deep emotional stuff that will rise to the surface that might catch you unawares, Taurus, and you'll be like, oh my God, I don't know why I'm feeling like this. Oh, this is hideous. What, get going, all this emotion bubbling around. But if you just remember, this is what Pisces does. It sort of dredges things up from the depths, things that we hopefully have sunk to the bottom of the swamp, but now they come again. It's like, oh dear, I don't like it. But deal with it and you shall be fine. Maybe that's why the Hanging Man is teaching you this patience. It's almost like treading water, perhaps this time. Let's see how others see you. End of a family curse with the Ten of Swords. So yeah, a lot of things been going on with the family, on and on. Things as the swords is usually sort of head stuff as well, like worrying about this, worrying about that, jumping here and there with everywhere with these kids and the family members or the parents or whoever that family is to you. Whatever you're going on with, this sort of symbolises that's all settled now and the cycle of this is absolutely finished. So now you can kind of move on, knowing whatever cycle comes next, knowing that that's been dealt with. But it was fraught for a bit there. But then again, we have to go through these things. It's like the weather, isn't it? And especially with Scorpio there too, it's like a big change as well, a big change. So obviously a lot of you have been through a big change in terms of family or new family members or family members that have sort of passed on or something along those veins, Taurus, where you're adapting to a new way, and it has been a bit fraught, but it's come to an end of that cycle. What you're feeling positive about? Work. Yes, stand back, have a look at what you've created, you know, really have a look. This card always tells me to tell you, you know, just look at what you have done. Don't look at what you haven't done. It's a time of, you know, retrospect into how much work and energy and effort you put in over the time, you know, and feeling grateful about that. And especially with the Hanging Man as well, if this is a work issue or waiting for some kind of work project, it's just like, yeah, just wait, it's just not the right time. We'll see in the April readings what comes up. The good old outcome. Five of Swords, yeah, work. So focusing on work a lot, and then at the end we've got a bit of narky, pestery, troublemaker. Five of Swords coming up, another five, another change. Just keep well away from the troublemakers, you know, the idle people that sit on the sidelines making comments about everything. Don't sort of buy into that or buy into anybody's gossiping opinions that you really wouldn't be interested in at the end of that period of March. So moving into Aries, just, you know, focus on work. Okay, let's just see what your overall card is. It's a pretty sort of interesting reading, really, Taurus. So attachment to desire is the cause of suffering. Attachment arises when we want something different from what we are experiencing right here, right now. This ever-increasing list of unfulfilled desires causes us to experience discontentment and disconnects us from living simply in the pure joy of the present moment. So that ties in well. So just get on, wait, be patient, do your work, have a nice month. But yeah, the emotions will be stirred up a bit in the time of water Pisces. Thanks so much for listening, Taurus.